Fpyq Jiang. Chapter 56. The Sea Estate. Qi Yunruo's whole body went rigid. He gritted his teeth and said, "Just you? You don't have the qualifications to ask for the name of your father." A military officer next to Su Yuan found Qi Yunruo akin to a sheep in wolf's clothing. Up until now, he used intimidating speech but never clarified his identity. He couldn't help but sneer. "You truly don't want face. You actually say such stupid things in front of Deputy General Su, and even dared to hit Deputy General. Brothers, let's go. I want to see which family's son has such a large ability." Su Yuan rubbed his nose. Laughed evilly. "Don't hit his face. Too bad he has such a nice body." Qi Yunruo's pupils dilated, when a woman said behind him, "Isn't this young Master Li? Why did you lower yourself to come here today?" At once, Qi Yunruo flipped around. He caught sight of Rong Sunyang, two little servant girls in tow. A beautiful figure, slender and graceful. Her prepossessing eyes was trained on Qi Yunruo, before moving to look at Su Yuan. "Deputy General Su, why have you yet to leave?" Su Yuan shifted his to Qi Yunruo and frowned. He had the surname of Li? If he did, then that was a big issue. The Li clan had produced emperors for 5 generations, gradually spreading their roots. Although not everyone who had a surname of Li were imperial clan members, those who could still act so arrogantly in the capital were few. This young man had been dressed finely whenever Su Yuan saw him, including during his time in the army. He was smooth-skinned all over, as though raised in luxury. He certainly wasn't someone from a poor family. Furthermore, there was what Rong Sunyang had said. She was the madam of the largest brothel in the capital, Yuè House. She wouldn't give face to just anyone. In the capital, Yuè House had been unshakable at the top for decades. Reportedly, they had a powerful backing. Qi Yunruo composed himself and continued to glare at Su Yuan with a fierce expression. Su Yuan came to grief at the fact that he didn't have much connections with the imperial clan members. Who knew which prince of the second rank or other imperial clan member this young noble had as a father? Qi Yunruo stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his disdainful gaze remaining on Su Yuan. Snorting coldly, Su Yuan said, "The green mountains will not change, the crystal clear water will flow forever. We will meet again someday. Next time we meet, we'll have a good talk," said Qi Yunruo, indifference lacing his words. A smile blossomed on Rong Sunyang's lips. "You are all guests. Next time you come to Yuè House, this one will arrange for a few lovely young ladies to accompany you. What misunderstandings cannot be solved?" Su Yuan and the others were still on duty in the Western Mountain Camp. Every 10 days, they would have 1 day of rest and they would come to the capital to unwind. If someone discovered that they had caused trouble, it wouldn't be good. So, Su Yuan declared, "We're leaving." The crowd of people went forward with great strength and vigor. A drawn-out sigh left Qi Yunruo's lips. Rong Sunyang watched as those people moved far away. Frowning, she asked, "Why did you provoke those scoundrels?" Still frightened and doubtful, Qi Yunruo followed Rong Sunyang into Yuè House and rested in a quiet room. Rong Sunyang personally poured tea for him. After Qi Yunruo received the cup, he said, "Thank you." Just a while ago, Rong Sunyang had left the building after hearing some noise outside. She had listened to their words for a moment but did not know that Qi Yunruo had provoked those people to avoid his pursuers. Expression full of worry, she said, "Deputy General Su Yuan is currently in a favorable position. He's not an easy person to deal with. From now on, I'll just keep my distance from him," said Qi Yunruo. Rong Sunyang did not continue on that topic. Instead, she asked, "Have you received the letter I sent early this morning?" Qi Yunruo nodded. After a while of silence, he said, "I've sent it to Count Xiang's estate." Rong Sunyang understood what he meant, still looking all around. Qi Yunruo followed her line of sight. And then he realized this room was so clean that it did not seem like anyone lived here. There was no gukkan on the gukkan table. No pillows on the bed. There were only 2 to 3 books on the desk, the pages yellow. This is... Rong Sunyang said, after Ling Long left, I kept this room empty. Chi Yunruo shifted his gaze to her. He rose to his feet to stand by the chair his mother had probably sat on. She had probably touched the sides of those vases, had probably played with that chessboard. As Chi Yunruo passed each of those items, such thoughts came to his mind. In an insipid manner, Rong Sunyang said, she shouldn't have come here. Even if she were a daughter of a small family, whose talents were concealed by others and whose appearance was in decline, it's still better than coming here. Distress filled Chi Yunruo's gaze. He leaned against the desk, hands fidgeting. He raised his head and asked, where is she from? Cherishing the memory, Rong Sunyang said, she and I are from Jiangnan. When she was 7 to 8 years old, Jiangnan experienced a flood. We fled from calamity toward the north. Afterwards, for the sake of a meal, we both entered Yuè house. The madam at the time took a fancy to us and adopted us. We were different from those other courtesans. Later on, when we were grown, I had a preference for accounting. Ling Long stood out as brilliant in the 4 arts. Less than a few years later, our adoptive mother raised her into Yuè house's most famous beauty. Why? Asked Chi Yunruo, unable to understand. Since she was already the adopted daughter of the madam, she shouldn't need to become the most famous beauty. She could have married properly. Rong Sunyang said dully, such is fate. Chi Yunruo still wanted to ask more, but Rong Sunyang said, there are some things I cannot say to you. Maybe there will come a day when I can, when you can understand. The best option is for you to stay at Prince Chun's side right now. I heard you say that you are already a 6th rank official. Good child. Rong Sunyang pulled Chi Yunruo down to sit next to her. In a very gentle tone, she said, good child, once Prince Chun is the crown prince, leave him. Men cannot be trusted. Chi Yunruo widened his eyes. Rong Sunyang stood. You should go. It isn't good for you to stay here too long. Chi Yunruo also stood. Rong Sunyang had already opened the door to escort him out. On the way out, Chi Yunruo wanted to call out to her, wanted to inform her that the prince wasn't that kind of person. Or perhaps to question her, question what she was hiding from him. However, in the end Chi Yunruo merely exited Yuè house in a muddle-headed manner. As the front doors shut behind him, it was as though Chi Yunruo had snapped back to his senses. Blankly, he gazed at the main street, which was starting to bustle with activity. Before he had left the red light district, his ears caught the sound of urgent hoofsteps approach. He looked up and caught sight of Fang Gur, who wore an expression of urgency. Fang Gur climbed down his horse. I finally found you, Sir Chi. Chi Yunruo waved. How's that girl? That young lady handed your official seal to the guards at the door and they escorted her to the guard station. After she had explained the situation clearly, Eunuch Sugur went to the Ministry of Revenue in search for His Highness. And I was looking for you until now. Chi Yunruo nodded and he hopped on a horse to return to the estate. Li Chen returned almost at the same time as Chi Yunruo. He climbed down his horse and watched as Chi Yunruo rode a horse absent-mindedly. As Chi Yunruo had climbed down from it, he almost stumbled. Frowning, Li Chen approached him and lightly patted his cheek. Chi Yunruo looked up. Li Chen led him into the estate by the hand. After they returned to Ink Lotus courtyard, Li Chen had someone summon Cheer over. Currently, this girl was like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bow, worry painting her face. The moment she had caught sight of Chi Yunruo, she was pleasantly surprised. Sir, you've finally come. Distractedly, Chi Yunruo nodded. Gesturing to Li Chen, Sugur said, this is His Highness Prince Chun. All of a sudden, shock collided into Cheer. In a helpless manner, she looked at Qi Yunruo, but Qi Yunruo only sat at the side with his head lowered. What was on his mind was anyone's guess. Li Chen asked, "You're a servant of the Xi family?" Qi said, "I am someone who waits on the mistress." Then she glanced at Qi Yunruo. Ever since master took his own life, many people who said they were relatives of mistress arrived at the estate. They did not allow us to attend to the mistress for the whole day. One day, I went to deliver her meal and overheard her distant nephew saying he must take revenge for master. That he can't let master die in vain. And he also said, she noticed how frightening Li Chen's gaze appeared, and didn't dare to continue. Qi Yunruo snapped back to his senses. He asked, "What did he say?" "Miss Qi, you should know that those people aren't good people. I'm afraid they might harm your mistress." In a frantic manner, Qi nodded. "Once, I heard that person say that even if His Highness Prince Chun hounded master to death, he had a method of avenging master, so long as mistress listened to him." Frowning, Qi Yunruo shifted his gaze to Li Chen. "Your Highness, what should we do? Should we dispatch some people there now?" Li Chen said, "Notify the Ministry of Justice and the Dali Temple." "Understood." Li Chen rose to his feet. All of a sudden, he said, "No. We'll head to the Xi estate now. I'm afraid that Mistress Xi has already met with danger." Qi cried out in alarm. "Hurry," said Qi Yunruo. "That's right, today he and Qi had been pursued after being discovered. If those people were driven to the point of desperate action. By the time Prince Chun's people arrived there, Mistress Xi had already killed herself. By her body was a suicide note as well. Once the people of the Ministry of Justice and the Dali Temple had arrived, they picked up the note, trembling under Li Chen's ordinary gaze. Li Chen had walked about the Xi estate and realized that that nephew had long since left. Mistress Xi had died from poisoning and the concubine Zhu, had disappeared along with her maidservant. All the while, Qi Yunruo kept blaming himself. He felt that if he hadn't appeared at the Xi estate, then perhaps Mistress Xi might still be alive. In an indifferent manner, Li Chen said, that was their plan all along. To use any possible method to force Mistress Xi to death. To have her create the appearance of taking her life due to having no way of avenging her husband. The suicide note played out just like what Li Chen had described. Mistress Xi's every word was full of blame, and she kept saying that Prince Chun forced her husband to kill himself. That she was just an ordinary married woman. Other than a life, she did not have anything else. She hoped that she could exchange her life for the court to investigate this matter, and give her husband justice. In a flash, Prince Chun became the butt of public criticism. One after the other, the imperial censors presented memorials to the emperor. They used the saying, when an imperial prince commits a crime, they must receive the same punishment as a civilian, to request for the stripping of Prince Chun's positions, duties, and military accomplishments. For him to return home and reflect on his mistakes. Qi stayed at Prince Chun's estate throughout this whole period. After discovering Mistress Xi had passed away, she had been depressed. Fortunately, she was a reasonable young lady. Qi knew that that person who had called himself her mistress relative had caused her mistress death, all in order to frame Prince Chun. So, when Li Chen questioned her, she did not hold anything back. The outer study of Prince Chun's estate. It had been many years since Xi returned to the capital, and the two did not have any children. Would Mistress Xi's feelings for him be this strong? Asked Qi Yunruo. Although Mistress Xi was not conferred the title of honored lady, there is an active official in her paternal family. When Xi had been detained, Mistress Xi did not ask her paternal family to run around asking for help. But after Xi died, Mistress Xi would take her life in the name of love? I don't buy it at all. Li Zihoqi said, perhaps Mistress Xi truly loved General Xi immensely. Chao Manjin shook his head, sighing. Unfortunately, we can't see that suicide note. The people Prince Chun's estate had sent to the northwest had yet to return with any news. Up until now, Qi Yunruo had been pondering over Mistress Si's matters. He said, Sita was stationed in the northwest for so many years. Even if they had shared feelings for one another, such feelings should have weakened. That concubine is a daughter of a good and reputable family. Not long after Sita married his wife, he took on this concubine. How could Sita and Mistress Si share a profound love? All of a sudden, Li Chen thought of something. Back then, with his previous position and status, Sita took a young miss from an official family as a wife. Even if Mistress Si did not have any children, they had only been married for a short while at that time. Why did he suddenly take on a concubine? Old Yu Yang said, that concubine Zhu's disappearance is too coincidental. Everyone suspected that concubine Zhu must be hiding something. Maybe if they found her, they'd be able to solve this riddle. Qi Yunruo had someone accompany Qi to her hometown. So, as to find and bring back her mother who was living in retirement. That elderly lady had an average appearance, with a bland expression. At first, she didn't believe Prince Chun. However, in the end, she believed her daughter's words. A sigh left her lips. With our young Miss status, talents, and appearance, she was more than enough to match with Sita. That concubine Zhu was Master's distant cousin. They had long since shared emotions for one another. Not even half a year after our young Miss had married over, Master mentioned taking on a concubine. How could Mistress be willing? However, Mistress' paternal family was afraid people would say the daughters they raised were jealous. So, they agreed in Mistress' stead. 8 months after that concubine Zhu had entered through the estate doors, she gave birth to a child. Sita had a child, asked Qi Yunruo. The previous servant girl Pudao, who was the mother of Qi, said with indifference, what a pity that child wasn't fortunate, dying not long after. With Qi Yunruo looking at her, that woman said with an ordinary expression, even if the child lived, the child would still only be a bastard and cannot be seen in public. The Si family's concubine Zhu, did not return to her hometown. Her other relatives also had not seen her. She seemed to have vanished from the world. Although the emperor did not issue an imperial decree, Li Chen nevertheless took the initiative to present a petition. It read that in the end, this matter related to him, and as such he should reflect upon himself, and the emperor permitted him to do so. Qi Yunruo felt somewhat worried. However, Li Chen said without the slightest care, recently, it's been too busy. Taking a break at the estate is not a bad idea. And so, a wave of relief washed over him. Qi Yunruo felt like an unseen enemy continued to give them trouble, and worried about what that person would do next. After he had spoken with Li Chen looked at him for a moment. All of a sudden, he smiled and said, Little Qi, you are really my lucky star. Such words shocked Qi Yunruo silly. He couldn't understand at all why he had said that. Li Chen embraced him as he continued to smile. From the beginning until now, we had been in the passive position when it came to this matter. Always guessing who's behind something after the event had transpired, but your words helped me realize something. We can guess who the enemy is, and after looking at all their means, we can guess their next move. Qi Yunruo still did not understand. Li Chen's expression gradually grew frigid. The people who are able to oppose me are just those few. One of them is the mastermind. I only need to see whose actions are the greatest. Somewhat anxious, Qi Yunruo said, Your Highness, so your honored self is saying those people are. It's precisely my brothers. Li Chen was apathetic with his words. As well as the people behind them. Qi Yunruo's heart felt somewhat cold. Without a care, Li Chen said, My time in the northwest indeed inspired envy in many people's hearts. From Heluo County's magistrate to Sida, those people behind them did not want me to monopolize all the contributions. Would the emperor believe them? Once Li Chen had heard those words, he fell silent for a while. Then he said, I don't know. Qi Yunruo turned his body sideways, holding Li Chen in a tight embrace. Li Chen broke into a smile and said, "From the start, I've understood that there would not be any friends on this road, only enemies. But I will always be with you, Your Highness," said Qi Yunruo, melancholic. Li Chen grunted in acknowledgement and returned his embrace. He lowered his head and took in the sweet scent of Qi Yunruo's hair. End chapter. Fpyq Jiang. Chapter 57. A Cup of Melancholy. Li Chen returned to his estate to self-reflect. Temporarily, his trusted aides and the officials of his faction kept silent out of fear. Qi Yunruo just happened to hear that Ji Huan was returning to the capital. Li Chen said to him, "Originally, I wanted to invite Ji Hansong and his whole family to the estate to socialize. But now, I'm afraid it'd be inconvenient. Little Qi, make a trip there with a gift representing me." Pointing to himself, Qi Yunruo asked, "Me?" A book in hand, Li Chen stood. He tapped it on Qi Yunruo's head with a smile. "What? Does Sir Adjutant have a problem?" Since Li Chen had asked that, Qi Yunruo grunted in acknowledgement. "Then, Your Highness, I will check the storeroom to see if there's anything suitable as a gift. After that, I'll write an arrival notice." Li Chen nodded and sat back down. He noticed the excitement in Qi Yunruo's eyes and pointed to his cabinet. There are 4 different colors of letter paper on the second shelf. And all kinds of fine writing paper and blank books. Nodding, Qi Yunruo left the room to find Suji and have him open the storeroom. The moment he had one foot out the door, he suddenly asked, "What does Big Brother Ji like?" Without even thinking about it, Li Chen said, "Things like brushes, ink, paper, and ink stones." Qi Yunruo blinked and left. All of a sudden, upset enveloped Li Chen. Qi Yunruo's footsteps grew softer and softer. Upon Prince Chun's face was a rare and unnatural awkwardness. He rose to his feet, wanting to find little Qi. However, little Qi's reaction had been too normal and Li Chen himself didn't know what to say. But to just sit there and not do anything also made him uneasy. In the storeroom, Qi Yunruo found a 4-sided antique ink slab. It was unadorned, with a simple aesthetic. One look, and Qi Yunruo felt Brother Ji would like it. Then he found a small box of imitation clear hard hall paper. Finally, upon Suji's reminder, he remembered to prepare gifts for the Ji estate's master and mistress. Frowning, Qi Yunruo walked around and said with impatience, "Just find some jugs of good wine and fine bolts of embroidered cloth. That should be good enough." A smile on his lips, Suji had people search for those items. Qi Yunruo carried 2 boxes out of the storeroom. He told the maidservants to place the gifts inside, then he returned to the study to research how to write arrival notices. All of a sudden, a little critter bumped into the door and entered the room, eyes gleaming. Qi Yunruo smiled. "Jing'er." A grin on his face, Jing'er ran over to him. He threw himself at Qi Yunruo's chest, and Qi Yunruo lifted him to his lap. Jing'er asked, "Are you going to Grandfather Ji's home?" He nodded. "When father wasn't around, Grandfather Ji came to visit mother," said Jing'er. "I heard them say I have an uncle." Jing'er had addressed Ji Suxiao as just grandfather but added Ji Hansong's surname when addressing him as grandfather. Smiling, Qi Yunruo said, "Did you not know about this uncle of yours before?" Jing'er's gaze held a trace of craftiness. He said in a soft voice, "I heard Grandmother Ji say that Grandfather Ji either scolds or beats the 2 uncles. And she said that what these uncles like to do most is drink flower wine." "Uncle Little Qi, what is flower wine?" "Is that wine that's made by fermenting flowers?" Expression not changing, Qi Yunruo said, "It's made by girls. Only when boys grow up can they drink it." Looking pensive, Jing'er nodded. At this moment, Li Chen pushed open the door and entered the room. His brows were furrowed as he looked at the duo. Embarrassed, Jing'er slid off Qi Yunruo's lap and with a soft "father," he rushed out. Chi Yunruo had finished grinding the ink and was about to write the arrival notice. Li Chen approached him. Chi Yunruo wrote on the title page, "From Adjutant Chi Yu's of Prince Chun's estate." Then flipped the page and wrote, "The Emperor's grace is revealed during this time of grain rain. Your esteemed son left the capital for the west as per the Emperor's request, returning in March. To especially congratulate your distinguished estate, we wish to visit on the 4th day of March." At the back was the gift list. Li Chen said, "This is good enough." Chi Yunruo did not speak. He rose to his feet to store the leftover paper away. Li Chen sat down at his usual spot. Once Chi Yunruo returned to the study, he sat on the other side. Li Chen grunted in hesitation. "Your Highness! Your Highness, Brother Ji is more intelligent than me. Better at speaking than me. I really like Brother Ji. Your honored self also likes him, right?" Li Chen looked at Chi Yunruo, slowly nodding. Chi Yunruo's heart fell slightly. Then Li Chen said, "But I knew from the start that Ji Huan would leave. So, after he left, I was able to let him go. Forsaking me, yesterday was gone though I had my share. I won't stop for the matters of the past. Little Chi, only you. Once I decided to love you, I will not let go." Chi Yunruo's eyes were slightly red. However, not a word left his lips. He put the arrival notice away and stepped foot out of the room. He called for a low-ranking eunuch and ordered, "Have someone send this to the Ji estate." The concubine of the C estate had yet to be found. All along, Chi Yunruo suspected Chi'er's mother to be hiding something. At present, that mother and daughter pair was staying at one of the guest rooms in Prince Chun's estate. The moment Chi'er had caught sight of Chi Yunruo entering the room, she moved a chair over for him to sit, full of joy. Chi Yunruo thanked her. He held the cup of tea Chi'er gave to him as he stared at Chi'er's mother in silence. These past years, Chi'er's mother ate vegetarian and prayed to Buddha. Chi'er said, "Our mistress was also vegetarian. From as long as I could remember, mistress was one, praying to Buddha all year round, and she would donate cloth and clothing to the temples every year. Our mistress even lit an eternal flame for master." Chi Yunruo asked, "Mistress C lit eternal flames for C Day?" Chi'er nodded. "But mistress never let me follow along when she did so. She always went to the temple alone." Chi'er's mother said in an insipid manner, "What's the use of talking about these useless things? Sir Chi, what else do you want to ask now that you have come today?" "Mistress C was a kind-hearted person," said Chi Yunruo. Chi'er's mother did not respond. Chi Yunruo said, "How much do you know about those people who called themselves the relatives of Mistress C?" "Mistress is from the Yuan family that is situated at the northern part of this city," said Chi'er's mother. "That whole family is full of hypocrites. Mistress did not have contact with them for many years. The people Chi'er mentioned simply aren't relatives of mistress." Chi Yunruo nodded. If Mistress C's family was full of good people, then they wouldn't have agreed to let their son-in-law take a concubine, in fear that their daughter would receive a jealous reputation. However, why did Sita think of so many ways to take concubine Zhu as a concubine, yet showed no interest in her for so many years? He had concubine Zhu and Mistress C live together for many years. If Sita wanted to, he could have easily taken his concubine to the northwest. Chi'er's mother said, that concubine Zhu was a cheap woman. She became pregnant before she even married. After stepping through the doors of the estate, she relied on master's fondness for her and never placed mistress in her eyes. Back then, mistress was a 17 to 18-year-old young lady and in her prime. She argued a few times with master, but she doesn't have anyone supporting here. As such, she couldn't do anything to that lowly scum of a man and woman. Chi Yunruo found it such a shame for Mistress C. However, now he felt even more sure that Mistress C would not kill herself for this kind of man. After he shifted his gaze to Chi'er's mom, she said, "This old slave will not testify to the authorities. Even if this slave said anything, those officials might not believe the words of an old woman like me. Qi Yunruo asked, how old was concubine Zhu's child when it died? Which illness did it die from? Qier's mother fell silent for a while, before saying, children will often fall sick. It's been so long. I no longer remember. Qi Yunruo did not ask them any more questions. He bid them goodbye and made his way out. Approaching Fang Gur, he said, find out which temple Mistress C frequented and who she lit an eternal flame for. Fang Gur nodded. Understood. It felt as though he had been running about all day without rest. Just when he had exited the guest room Chier and her mother resided in, someone informed him that the princess consort summoned him. The princess consort's mother, Countess Xiang, had come for a visit. After Qi Yunruo had changed his clothes, he made for the inner courtyard. On the way there, he came to a clear conclusion on why Countess Xiang had arrived. It seemed yesterday's letter had finally reached the hands of Count and Countess Xiang. Perhaps Countess Xiang had already told Qi Nikan about that matter. The moment Qi Yunruo had stepped through the doors, Qi Nikan hurled a teacup at him. He frowned. Lowered his head to brush away the tea leaves sticking to his chest. Qi Nikan was so furious that she shook. The words she spoke sounded as if they had been squeezed through the gaps of her teeth. Qi Yunruo, I have truly underestimated you. You shock me every time. He shifted his gaze to Countess Xiang. Countess Xiang's expression wasn't much better than Qi Nikan's. She seemed like she wanted to rush toward Qi Yunruo and slap him a few times. Cold enough to freeze, she said, where did you learn about this? Why are you people so angry? He asked. I'm not even angry. Mistress, you people are the ones who took my things and divided them as you pleased. Not one of those items has fallen into my hands. In a shrill voice, Qi Nikan said, cheap thing, those are all mine. Countess Xiang sneered. You're truly the cheap spawn of a cheap woman. Look at your good-for-nothing appearance. The fact that those items were given to Kunar as her dowry when she entered an imperial household is the fortune of you and your cheap mother. Fury coursing through his veins. Shut up. What right do you have to speak about my mother? If it wasn't for her, if it wasn't for that cheap person, how would our Qi family have fallen to this state? You don't know how glorious we were when the Qi family had still led the Qi army, shouted the countess, hysterical. The Qi family was the most influential family, of the highest pedigree. Even princes were respectful to esteemed father-in-law and my lord. Now look at how things are. Now my lord is a fourth-rank minor official. Chenner took the imperial exams, and is still only a seventh-rank official. This generation of the Qi family is in decline and it's all because of you. All because of you and your mother. However, Qi Yunruo grew more composed. Gaze never leaving her, he said, after helping establish the great state of Kong, the Qi family continuously received the emperor's suspicion. Every generation's Count Xiang needed to use his life and talents to wash away the risk of the emperor settling accounts with them. Mistress, the downfall of the Qi family was something that was bound to happen. Countess Xiang's icy gaze fell upon him. Even if you have more excuses to absolve you and your mother came to us with bad intentions. First, she seduced the count. Then she leaked the secrets of the Qi army. Qi Yunruo said, so if my mother asks, Count Xiang must answer? Surely this can't merely fall upon the shoulders of me and my mother, right? Count Xiang was the one to cause all the problems. Qi Nikan snorted coldly. Don't blame everything on father. If it weren't for you and your mother, Count Xiang's estate absolutely would not have fallen to this state. You simply do not know that during the glorious period of Count Xiang's estate, countless treasures from everywhere would be sent to the estate every year, said Countess Xiang. The farmlands and shops under our estate's name were untold. After our military power was removed, Count Xiang's estate suffered a sudden, devastating decline. And it was all because of you and your mother. What qualifications do you have to request for those things back? Countess Xiang stared at Qi Yunruo, her gaze reminiscent of a viper's. Those things belonged to Count Xiang's estate in the first place. These are all the excuses you tell yourself because of your greed, said Qi Yunruo in an unhurried pace. The full story finally unfolded before Qi Yunruo's eyes. Many years ago, Xia House's Shui Linglong perhaps had a purpose for approaching Count Xiang, Qi Suxiao. The fact that he visited brothels during the period of mourning was merely the introduction to the story. The key bargaining chip of many generations of Count Xiang's finally fell into the hands of Shui Linglong. As such, the emperor was able to remove the Qi family's military power that easily, dividing the Qi army up and sending them to other places. Qi Yunruo recalled the scene right before his mother's death. Recalled how, for so many years, Qi Suxiao did not care or ask about him. Ignored him. Allowed the people of the estate to bully him as they pleased. In the end, he had sent him away, and he was no longer someone who belonged to Count Xiang's estate. However, Qi Yunruo felt that the situation should not be this simple. He once again looked at Countess Xiang. Not knowing how his tone could be this calm, he said, "Mistress, do you think Count Xiang knew about my mother's purpose for approaching him?" Her whole body went rigid. Still looking at her, Qi Yunruo said, "Do you know who's the person behind my mother?" Countess Xiang slightly trembled. Puzzled, Qi Nikan shifted her gaze to her. Qi Yunruo had suddenly connected every thread. He did not believe that a woman's action could truly confuse Qi Suxiao, someone who had inherited the will of many generations of Count Xiang's. Even if the Qi family no longer had its military power, Qi Suxiao would still have gone to King Zilane. It's just that after he visited too many times, he grew tired of Shui Linglong. Perhaps at that time, he at last started to hate her. For this reason, he did not appear even when she had fallen gravely ill. Rather, it was Shui Linglong's beloved son who had stayed by her side. My mother worked for the emperor. Qi Yunruo was not sorrowful. He only sighed. This was the gamble between the imperial family and the Qi family, but in the end, it was only Shui Linglong who had met a dead end. In the end, Count Xiang had never loved her, yet Shui Linglong had repeated the words "Qi Suxiao, you cheated me" until her last breath. Many years ago, Shui Linglong had received the emperor's order in Xia House. She should have guarded her heart and kept cool-headed to complete her mission. Despite this, she had truly fallen in love with the young, elegant, and newly appointed Count Xiang. He was unable to be like his ancestors, guarding the border forever. During his youth, his most unforgettable memory had been guarding the border with his father. However, after General Qi Ran, had passed away, he realized he was unable to resist the imperial power. Therefore, he took advantage of the situation and accepted Shui Linglong. He did not block the information Shui Linglong sent out, which she had gotten from him. Ignored the imperial censors who impeached him, which gave the emperor a reason to act against him. Ignored the fact that Shui Linglong grew more and more infatuated with him. He was many degrees worse than Qi Yunruo had thought him to be. He allowed Shui Linglong to fall deeper and deeper in love with him, yet left her. He had Shui Linglong's son come to the side of the emperor's son in the most lowly identity, so that he could not bring about a change to his fortune his whole life. Qi Suxiao wanted the emperor to witness with his own eyes everything that happened. Qi Yunruo looked at Countess Xiang. Asked, "Whose idea was it?" "You people deliberately sold off my mother's servants, took all of my assets, and brought them all to Count Xiang's estate. Mistress, do you know that you people actually don't have any grounds to seize my things?" Countess Xiang mocked, "A prostitute's things? Tell me, how do you think she accumulated so many assets and possessions? Don't you think a prostitute's belongings are dirty?" said Qi Yunruo, embittered. "Then why did you keep such dirty things and give them to your daughter?" For a moment, Countess Xiang was struck speechless. Qi Nikan still did not understand the entire story. She only knew that if she had to return her dowry to someone else, then it would be incredibly shameful. Who knew how many people would ridicule her? Even if Qi Yunruo did not ask for his things back, as long as he made it public that those things belonged to him, other people would know that her dowry contained the treasures a prostitute had accumulated. Then she wouldn't be able to show her face in public anymore. Without even thinking it through, she said, "Seize him." Incredulous, Qi Yunruo looked at her. However, no one came to obey her orders. Qi Yunruo did not turn his head, not knowing what had happened. He only saw Qi Nikan fall into her chair, muttering, "Your Highness." Li Chen entered the room and said with indifference, "Princess Consort, who did you want to seize?" After Ji Huan had reported to the emperor, he returned to his estate. The people of the forecourt had sent over an arrival notice. The moment he caught sight of the name on it, he first furrowed his brows in doubt. Then realization struck him at once, and he was unable to stop a smile from spreading across his face. After he had finished reading the arrival notice, he ordered his manservant to have the kitchens prepare for a banquet as soon as possible. In 3 days, they must be ready to receive his first guest. That arrival notice had been sent first to the master of the Ji estate, Ji Hansong. Once he had read it, he had people send it to Ji Huan. Not long after, Ji Hansong arrived with his hands clasped behind his back. "In 2 days, I must entertain your maternal grandfather. At that time, it's best if you two don't have any conflict." Ji Huan's hands stilled. Then he nodded. "Your son understands." Ji Hansong sat down. A light sigh escaped his lips. At present, His Majesty has allowed Prince Chun to reflect on himself in his estate. Sita and his main consort have both taken their own lives. Prince Chun is not in an optimistic situation. Ji Huan had just returned to the capital. As such, he wasn't very knowledgeable about these matters. Frowning, he said, "But no matter what happens, Prince Chun's accomplishments cannot be erased. It's precisely because his contributions were the greatest that all sides are hitting him when he's down one after the other. They won't give him the chance to breathe." "Isn't that Adjutant Qi Yu's that?" But Ji Hansong swallowed his words. The fact that Ji Huan had entered Prince Chun's estate was one of the taboos between this father and son pair, and must not be mentioned. However, Ji Huan understood what he had meant and said, "For the sake of Prince Chun, little Qi contributed heroically in the northwest. Average people cannot compare to him. Little Qi is bright and decisive, with a gentle personality. Now he has an official position. His future is limitless." Hesitation appeared on Ji Hansong's face. Ji Huan said, "If father has something to say it directly." A light cough. "Your younger sister sent a letter a few days ago. His Highness has brought eldest young master to the forecourt, and now he lives with that Adjutant Qi. Your younger sister is very worried." Furrowing his brows, Ji Huan said, "Father, what are you trying to say?" The way Ji Huan thought of it, if Jing'er stayed by Ji Ro's side, nothing good could come out of it. It's better to have him by little Qi's side. Your younger sister wants you to tell His Highness not to let Jing'er come in contact with. He's a child of a courtesan, and started to serve a man as a teenager. His temperament definitely won't be the same as a normal person's. Jing'er is the eldest son of Prince Chun, so his status is noble. But that person. If Ji Ro wants this, then why doesn't she talk to His Highness herself?" Ji Hansong did not dare to yell at his eldest son. "Your younger sister said that right now, Qi Yu's has easily kept His Highness' heart. Now, the inner courtyard rarely ever sees His Highness. She cannot enter Ink Lotus courtyard, so it's hard for her to even see her own son." Gaze upon Ji Hansong, Ji Huan said, "Ice cold, father should know what kind of person younger sister is better than I. If she was virtuous and able, why would His Highness have slowly grown distant from her? However, she only blames other people, and never thinks she did anything wrong, father. Originally, I didn't want to mention past events. But back then, she was willful and joined hands with mistress to drag me into Prince Chun's estate. Later, when His Highness no longer liked her, she always thought it was my fault. What does your honored self think? Little key circumstances as tragic as mine. However, he did not choose this path for himself. If possible, who wouldn't want to grow up into a great man when their parents loved him? No one would want to live in hatred and suffering. If little Chi is given a chance, he would shine brighter than anyone else. Ji Hansen fell silent for a good while. Then he slowly said, Ji Ro is your mother's first child. It's difficult to avoid spoiling her. Ji Huan said with indifference, mistress spoiled Ji Ro for over 10 years. But Ji Ro has always made me fearful. She and the Ji family are connected. If in the future, the Ji family is implicated because of her, father will regret it. That can't be possible, said Ji Han Song. That should not be possible. Ji Huan no longer spoke. A long sigh left Ji Han Song's lips. No matter what, Roer gave birth to His Highness' eldest son. Ji Huan wanted to say that his mother gave birth to him, and he was also the eldest son. However, in the end he did not mention it. Just a while ago, Ji Huan's words did not only pertain to little Chi but himself as well. If possible, he did not want to curry favor for someone else. Yet he had long since stepped foot onto Prince Chun's boat, destined to rely on the relationship from those years to become far superior than the Ji family. That was the path Ji Huan had long since chosen for himself. End chapter.